So I grew up in a very strict religious, it's called Coptic Orthodox. My mom would bring me every Sunday to church, and church was not only an hour, but it was 3 hours every Sunday. I always felt like I was like the black sheep. I would go to church to connect with God. I could always feel his presence, but there was a lot of things that I would see also, and I didn't know at that time. At 16, that's when something happened. I was sitting in the back, bored like hell. I did not like school. And I heard that whisper that says, Nancy, by the age of 40, you will be writing a book. Now, David, I did not like writing. I didn't know what I was going to write about. And I'm like, am I going insane or is that real? And I left it at the back burner, right? Everyone has a purpose. You need to ask yourself, what is your purpose? That led me to my awakening. And that's where the awakening started.
At 16, she heard a voice clearly say, you will write a book by the age of 40. And years later, that same voice began to speak to her audibly. Born in Egypt and raised in Canada within a devout Coptic Orthodox family, Nancy Ebrahim grew up immersed in a faith that was strict and structured. And years later, as she began writing that first book, her awakening deepened. And she began hearing God's voice with unmistakable clarity, and her story will stretch your mind. Today, Nancy is a high priestess, tarot reader, and manifestation guide who helps people heal the heart and align with divine guidance. In this episode, you'll learn how listening to spirit can bring clarity, healing, and direction to your life. I'm your host, David Trotter. Welcome to the Awaken Magazine podcast. Well, Nancy, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, David, for having me. I'm so honored to be here today with you.
Yeah, it's great to be with you. So I love to just start many of our conversations the same way, just asking about your journey of awakening. That story is so compelling to me. And so I'd love to hear about that process of awakening to consciousness, mindfulness, spirituality, but if we could start at your childhood, did you grow up with some sort of faith or spirituality experience, or did that come to you later in life?
Yeah, much later. I grew up in a very Christian, it's called Coptic Orthodox because I'm Egyptian originally. I was born in Egypt, but I was raised in Canada. So Montreal was my, education was there. So I'm French Canadian too. So I have that accent. If everyone is wondering where it comes from French, Arabic, and English. So it's a mix. So I grew up in a very strict religious, when you hear Greek Orthodox, Coptic Orthodox, so it's Christian, but it's one denomination. And the strict means very religious, right? My mom would bring me every Sunday to church, and church was not only an hour, but it was 3 hours every Sunday. So it was a lot. But I always felt like I was like the black sheep, right? I would go to church to connect with God. I could always feel his presence. So but there was a lot of things that I would see also. And I didn't know at that time I was very intuitive, psychic, all this. Like this was not revealed to me at that time, but I was like seeing things that it was off, which led me at 16, that's when something happened. I was in high school, bored like hell. I did not like school. And I was sitting in the back and I was like this, because I didn't want the teacher to see me. That's how I was when I was high school. And I heard that whisper that says, Nancy, by the age of 40, you will be writing a book. Now, David, I did not like writing. I didn't know what I was going to write about, but I felt like out of the blue like that, you hear a whisper and I'm like, am I going insane or is that real? So I go out in recess time. I talk to my girlfriend. She was like the opposite. She was so fluent in writing and so creative. And I tell her, I'm going to be writing a book by the age of 40. And she looks at me and I thought she's going to say, are you crazy? Like, you don't even like writing. And she looks at me, she's like, I know. And so I looked at her and I felt that channeled again, like another sign. Like she didn't even ask me questions or anything, but I felt like something divinely was happening. And I left it at the back burner, right? At 18, I started listening to Oprah. And Oprah was one of the person that said something that I never missed her. She was my mentor. She's one my mentor in my living room, right? And she said, everyone has a purpose. You need to ask yourself, what is your purpose? And I was like, what the heck is that? Because I grew up, you go to church, you get married, you have a profession. My dad was a lawyer, my mom was in bank, but she studied law. My sister studied law, so everyone was lawyers, and I was the black sheep. I was like, I'm gonna discover what I want to do. And so that purpose driven, I'm like, oh, we have a purpose. We have something above a career, marriage, having kids. So, and it's funny because so that was the second step, right? That led me to my awakening. The third one had started retail sales as selling clothes, right, for a part-time job next to my teaching education. I had decided finally to be a teacher, but elementary, right? But I knew I would always write in my journal teaching what and to who. But I said, you know what? I don't have that knowledge. Let me just learn teaching. And after, so while I was part-time job, I was learning, my education in teaching. The funny thing is that next door was a bookstore. And then they came back, Nancy, you're gonna be writing a book. So I'm like, I better start reading books, right, David? I was like, I need to start reading books and see what kind of book I'm gonna be writing, right? So in my, after work or in my break, I would go to that bookstore and I would start scrolling and seeing nothing religious, right? I had enough of religion. So I was like, let me see self-help. So Anthony Robbins was one of my other mentor. I never want to see him, but I was reading all of his books. There was also Deepakra, the Deep
Deepak Chopra.
Chopra.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, which was fascinating that he was a doctor and then he decided to leave. So, and Louise Hay. So all those authors, right? And I would just go intuitively. And I'm saying that so that, whoever listens, like just follow that nudge, right? Like those little nudge brings you to the next step, to the next level, to the next, awakening. So after reading those books, I decided to do a master degree. So after finishing my bachelor in education to be an elementary teacher, I was like, that's it? No, 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 no. Like there's something more that I'm missing, right? So I did my master in educational psychology. And at the end of the year, they told us you can take classes or you can do a thesis. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be writing a book. I need to prepare for it. So I decided the hard road, right? Let me do a thesis. So it was like it was supposed to be 100 pages. And guess what was the thesis about? It was about how to bring into reality your thoughts and what you desire, which is what I'm doing now, helping people to manifest. And I was like, and I brought in, Anthony Robbins and all those authors that inspired me. When I finished, got married, moved to California. My husband was from California, so this was another manifestation that I did. Got married and then had my two kids, two beautiful sons. They're now 18 and 21. And but at that time, I started writing the book like at 30, right? I got married by 30. And I'm like, okay, let me try to write the book. But nothing was coming out. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to experience more. And I did here by the age of 40. So I was 30. So maybe I was like too early, right? So I lived my life as a teacher, and then I had my kids. I opened a daycare. And when I opened, with my second son, David, and his son, my son is David's name too. So with my second one, I said to myself, I can't go back in teaching. Something was pulling me to stay home with him. And so I said, okay, maybe that would be the time that I write my book. I was 35, 36, something like that. So 1 year later, I was exhausted. When I opened my daycare, I opened a childcare, and I was exhausted. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to write a book this way. So I said, I'm going to hire an assistant and have more kids, and then I can have more time for myself and not be that tired, right? And so I hire an assistant, and then during that hour, I start writing my book, the hour of when the kids were sleeping. So imagine, David, like from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., my daycare, I had over 12 kids. It was very successful. And it was during recession too, 2017 recession. No, 2007, I think, 2007, something like that, 2007. And I was like, okay, 1 hour a day, I would sit in front of my screen and just write. And I knew that I wanted to combine my psychology knowledge with my Christian belief, with our religion, just verses of the Bible. And another part of my awakening was when I did my classes in my master degree, I realized something so important that I'm like, there's something there. Every time they would tell us, go back in the past and see an event that has affected who you became. So I would go back and say, okay, well, one time my dad was like so impatient with me and teaching me, math or something like that. And that was a catalyst of me being a teacher. I'm like, I'm never going to be like that. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be patient. That was a catalyst. That changed the trajectory of my life. And when I went back to it, I started crying. And when you go through an event that is traumatic, it changes who you become. And so going back to it, healing has changed the way I was becoming, and I was releasing, and I was no longer triggered. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, what if I put it with our Christian belief? What if God can heal us? What if we forgive the people that hurt us? What if can I feel more God's presence? Can I feel more intuitive? Can I be more confident about myself? And I started seeing those changes. And that's where the awakening started, and writing this book too.
Amazing. And so the first book, because I know you've written two books, your first book is entitled,
Yeah, it's Are You on the Right Path and How to Heal Yourself and Recreate Your Life. Like, you see, like, are you on the right path? So this is what I was asking myself when I was married, right? And I had my daycare, and how to heal yourself and recreate your life. So that means when you start healing, you can be creating whatever life you desire. And so when I finished this first book, I something happened. I don't even know where to begin, David. So for 9 months, I write this book, right? An hour every day during daycare. And then we go to Lake Tahoe. My husband and I, my kids, we go to Lake Tahoe, we camp. We used to love camping. 4,000 altitude, right? There's all those beautiful stars. I see a shooting star for the first time. I'm like, make a wish. So I was wishing, that I become an author and, famous, whatever. Everything from the ego, right? And then we come back and I say to myself, okay, I have accumulated 400 pages, 400. And I'm like, I know this book is not going to be 400. And an hour every day, consistently. Call it like a calling, right? Driven. No one was guiding me to write it. I didn't tell anyone. So that's another thing to tell people, right? When they're creative, don't tell anyone because they can discourage you, right? So for 9 months, I write it down, and then I say, okay, now I need stories of real people to relate, for people when they read it to connect, not just Bible stories or psychology notion, right? So, and here it's your story, Nancy. Another whisper, right? My story, what are you talking about? Like, so now I'm after a year of really connecting with God and dissecting the Bible and putting my psychology knowledge and what I learned in my master degree. I was like, what are you talking about? I knew it was God's voice this time around. That's what are you talking about? My voice, like my story. I'm just a teacher. I'm just a mom. Now I'm a daycare provider and I'm becoming an author. And he's like, well, because you're just regular, Nancy, people are going to relate to your story. Because I was looking for famous names now and people. And and so, okay, now I cannot write it when the kids are sleeping. Now I had to write it at night, like when the kids were sleeping. So I'm doing all the talking, David.
You're telling your story. Yeah, but keep going. Yeah, I want to hear I want to hear, why, how you're doing what you're doing today because like you made a massive shift. But yeah, so how did this book get birthed?
Yeah, so finally I started waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I had to focus on my own story, right? So during my master, I realized that when you realize an emotion that is negative, which nothing is negative, but let's say loneliness, guilt, anger, depression, when you realize those emotions and you tackle them, you release them, you let them go, you start feeling free. You start making space for the new. You start becoming the person that you want to become. So I wrote in my book like moments of loneliness. What are moments for me that I felt lonely? And I was completely raw and transparent in this book, right? One moment that made me feel angry, one moment that made me feel depressed. And I'm like, me depressed? But it's so funny that you don't realize it unless you just sit with yourself and you ask those questions, right? And when I finished writing it, well, while I was writing it, I had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I was doing the alarm and my husband was next to me. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to wake him up all the time, right? So I was doing that. My assistant, she was telling me, Nancy, if it's from God, God is going to wake you up. I'm like, you're right. I'm not going to do the alarm anymore. And every day, David, I was waking up at 3 sharp, sitting on my computer. My computer was a big one in my bedroom. While my husband was sleeping, and I was starting to write down and heal again on a deeper level. Sometimes I would write the same stories, right? Thinking that I've healed from it. And then I start crying again, and I'm like, huh, there's still something there. So I did a deep cleansing while I was writing this book. Like I did all the steps that I've told, people to do, right? And then suddenly, I don't know if you heard about automatic channeling, but suddenly I start writing 3 o'clock in AM. Of course, there's no noise, right? And I start writing things that I didn't even want to write. I talk about cancer, which I've never met anyone personally that lost their life out of cancer, but I could hear God saying there's so many people that are dying from it, and so many are affected by it. And I'm like, but God, I don't want to write about that. I talk about that. I talk about Egypt, things that I don't even understand myself, and I wouldn't even remember what I talked about. I talk about September 11. I'm like, no, I don't want to talk about. But he was telling me, Nancy, there's so many people that are still affected by what happened on September 11. And I'm like, people that are lonely, depressed, angry. Like there's so many emotions still there in New York. And I'm like, okay. So I was writing. And then God told me, Nancy, wherever you're going, your husband cannot follow you. And then I was like, shocked. I'm like, what? And I start crying. So I understood that God was gonna tell me to divorce. And David, I'm telling you, I thought that my marriage was okay. I felt there was something missing, but not for divorce, right? And I said, okay, if this is from God, because you still don't know, right? If this is from God, He's gonna take over. So I did not talk about it to my husband. I didn't do anything. And then a week later, my husband started acting weird. And I'm like, oh my God. And of course, God, I say God because I know God exists, and I believe in God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, but people can say divine creator spirit. I'm open to anything, right? But I'll be saying God, so I hope I'm not gonna.
It's all
Um,
good.
yeah. Um, so he started talking to my ex first, and he told him a lot of insight, and he said, "You have to close that daycare. Nancy is closing that chapter, and I'm gonna lead her to the next level."
So God was talking to your ex-husband, is what you're saying?
Yeah, he was talking to him first,
Okay.
preparing him. I think God talks to men before they talk to women. I mean, I felt like, yeah, he talked to me through my book, but then he told him, like, reality check, right? And he told my husband to close the daycare. So the next day, God tells me the same thing, and my ex tells me, Nancy, we're gonna close the daycare. Okay, now this is real. Whatever happened, in my book, it's happening. And then he brings the kids on Thursday night. I still remember it was November 2011. I don't know the exact date, but it was the month of 2011. And he brings the kids to his brother, and God tells me the same thing. He's going to bring the kids. I don't say anything. The daycare is closed. The next day, we're just the two of us in the kitchen. And we had just installed speakers everywhere because I thought in my mind, I'm still doing that daycare, right? And speakers for the music to soothe the kids. And I'm just getting chills telling you that story. The speaker starts and it's the voice of God. It's a deep male voice. And my husband is standing in front of me and he looks at me. And I look at him and I'm like, okay, I guess God is taking over. It was like really, I was a little bit, I wasn't that scared, but my husband was scared because he did not build that relationship with God the way I did in that year. And it was like two voice. One that, when you talk to yourself and you say, okay, I gotta do this, right? You talk to yourself, you hear that. And there was that voice on the speaker. And I kid you not, when they say 369, Tesla and all this, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., that voice did not stop. The speakers, like, and it was like reading the verses of the Bible, right? It didn't make sense what he was saying. It was like just reading the verses of the Bible. But God was talking to us also in our voice, right? And he was telling us what we needed to do during those 9 hours. And he was like, for example, he was telling him, Nancy, my ex, like, give her a glass of water. So he was training us. So we know this is his voice, not we're going insane, right? He was like, give her, and I would hear the same voice, and he would give it to me. And then he would say, Nancy, drop it. And I had to, like, when God takes over, you have to do what he's telling you. And I would almost drop it, and he would hear it. So he would run to catch it. And I kid you not, David, for 9 hours nonstop. And then for 3 of those hours, my head was on the table. There was like that big force. And God was just telling me, Nancy, don't be scared. I'm just going to lead you to your purpose, to what you need to do. Your life is not going to be the same, but I'll be next to you. And I'll just trust me. And that force, David, was so heavy that I couldn't even lift my head. And I was like, God, I'm tired. Like, how much longer? And he was always training my ex too. I could see him sitting on the chair on our dining table. And he also told him, if you don't obey me and do exactly what I ask you to do for the divorce, for the house, for all the belongings, I will paralyze you. And I saw him trying to, and he couldn't. And I'm like, oh my God, like, this is no joke.
And you're still hearing all of the things that you're saying you're hearing. Are you hearing them through the speakers or through just your own thoughts?
So the actions were the thoughts, the directions of that voice, right? But the speakers was a loud voice of God, just reading the Bible. It sounded like reading the Bible, but it was almost like God saying, I'm here. And I'm just getting chills saying that, and I've said that story a few times, but never really, like, this is the first podcast that I really tell the story. And I remember, because my husband lied to me, and God has his own reasons, right, of the divorce. I don't want to go into those details, but because he lied to me, he said, when Nancy tells that God spoke to her and spoke to you, you will lie and Nancy will tell the truth. And I was like, what? So now my family needed to discern who's telling the truth. Isn't that strange? Like, how
Amazing.
could God tell my
Amazing.
ex to lie? Because he had to be true to who he was.
Hmm.
So now there's two versions of the story, right? But after that, 6 p.m., the everything shut off. And yeah, and he told him, he was in front of me, he told him, you can no longer touch her. She's no longer your wife. And from then on, we started the separation, divorce papers. And that was, I guess, my awakening, that, that voice. And now, why was there a two voice? I know that, if it was just through the speaker, then how can I be guided every day afterwards? So that was like, the speaker was like, I'm here, I'm present in this house. This is no joke. Like, you're going to do what I'm telling you to do. But the other voice was for everyday life afterwards, that he had trained us and we had to listen to him, me and my ex. Even if my ex was no longer with me, he had to listen to that voice too, because he was taking care of the kids too. So,
Wow. Nancy, that is absolutely amazing. So you shut down the daycare, and just for the sake of time, I just want to, I want to move into what you're doing now because I want people
yes,
to really hear all about that. So,
yes.
at what point did you start to have these gifts that start to? Yeah, you said as a kid you knew that there was something different, but when did you really start to bring those online and start to serve people with those intuitive gifts?
Yeah, that's a good question. So afterwards, I did jobs here and there. And then I had a boyfriend and I had a breakup, and I couldn't understand why things happened the way it happened. So I was starting to listen to YouTube videos about tarot readers, oracle intuitive readers. And for a whole year, while I was doing just jobs, that will be in my third book, right? But did so many other jobs, and then I was like, God, there's something there. Like, those tarot intuitive, readers, they're healing people, their voice, their intuition, their insights. There's something there. He's like, and then after a year, he's like, Nancy, you can be that person. And I'm like, okay. So I bought myself a tarot deck, and because during those, that's like at least 7 years, 8 years, right, from the time that God spoke to me. I finished writing my book, published it, self-published it, everything, to really. So during those times, sometimes I would have a random person, I would hold their hand, give them a message from God, because I could hear him, right? But to be able to do that online, like there was no way. So just to be out there, and start showing that I have a gift, that I am intuitive, that I have messages from God, I had to have a tool. So I used the tarot deck tool. And knowing afterwards that we created that, Egyptians created tarot. Like, it's even in their walls and everything. Sometimes people think Italians, but it comes from ancient time, So connected, with my ancestors. So I started doing tarot. And while I was doing it, a lot of people would tell me, Nancy, your voice, like your voice, there's something in your voice that they're drawn to me. And I was like, God, what is with my voice? And he's like, Nancy, you're a healer. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you have healed so much. Don't you think that you can be a healer? And I'm like, yeah. So I started doing that. And then as I was helping people, guiding them, giving them advice about their partner or how to attract love, I added my service of chakra healing, and then my service of manifestation. So all this added up as I was working with my client. So that's how it started. To be, that's how I started to help more people with my gifts.
Amazing. And so you started just posting online on Instagram or TikTok videos, doing like kind of like collective tarot readings.
Yeah, so I had a 9 to 5 job, a regular job. God was putting me many places, right? And and I started doing it through the camera, looking at the cards. I didn't want to show my face. And I don't know if it's because it was shyness or because God, it's everything has to be divine timing, right? So it wasn't divine timing for me to show my face. So for 1 year, David, I would go on YouTube, do my videos, and attract people like that. I had already created a website because God is like, we're not doing half way. We're doing full blown. We're gonna create a website, and people are gonna go and book in that website. And so, but first, wait, I need to tell you something. So before I do my tarot, I went to Egypt after 20 years of not going to Egypt, going back to my country, right? And something activated there too. So I think my gifts started to activate more because before I start doing that journey of helping others, I needed to go align my chakras. And I didn't even know about chakras at that time, right? From religious background to having God telling me what to do every single day to doing random job here and there to okay, we're going to Egypt. So I go to Egypt, and after a month I renew my tickets and I stay 1 more month. Second day after I stay that month, my ankle fracture. I slipped on some stairs. And I was like, great God, I'm doing everything you're telling me to do. And now I'm stuck in Egypt with a broken ankle and I'm not doing any operation. Okay, so I went to see doctors and you need to operate on my, I'm not doing any operation. So I stayed in my hotel room and it's very cheap. Sometimes you can find, I heard you went to Egypt.
I was just there about a month ago. Yeah, yeah.
So I go to and the hotel was like I had booked like for 3 weeks. I had found like $7 a night. Like I kid you
Wow.
not. And there was a mistake. There were three brothers owning that hotel, and they looked at me and they saying, it's a mistake, my son. I booked online. So it was like $7 a night. So when it's divine alignment, orchestrated by God, and so at the window, I can see the pyramids. And he's like, Nancy, we're going to activate your chakras. I'm like, what are chakra? I heard about Buddhism, chakra, but not more than that. And he's like, and I joke with God. I said, God, are we becoming Buddhist or what? And he's like, no, chakras are energy field that everyone has. So I will help you to release that blockage and be ready for. I didn't know what God had planned for me, but he's like, you need to learn about chakras. So went on YouTube, Google search chakras, and healed myself.
Wow. Amazing. You come home, you start offering these services, and people start booking, and it's primarily tarot readings. Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah. But
Yes.
in the process, they're experiencing healing. And I know one of the two main things that you focus on, and I love how you call yourself a divine manifestation activator. And oftentimes when people are coming for a reading, they're looking for what's going to happen in terms of love or what's going to happen in terms of money. So what I guess I want to start off by this kind of part of our conversation talking about manifesting, because as you started learning about this, like, did you read about manifesting in a book? Was it something that God was just telling you? How did that begin to come to you?
Yeah, manifesting. Every time I wanted something, I would go for it, right? So but in the same time, I didn't want it to feel forced. I already knew that if it was forced, it might not be God's will. So I already knew that it had to be God's will, right? I'm not going to manifest something that God doesn't want me to have. So I manifested, my husband. I manifested coming to California. I've always wanted to come to California, from Canada to California. I manifested my book. So every time I manifested something, I knew that there was some healing that needs to be released. So, and I didn't even know that it was called manifesting until I started listening to, social platforms and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm doing. Oh, that's what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I didn't put words into what I was doing. And then one time, a person told me, can you teach me? And I'm like, yes, I can teach you. And I would always ask God, God, can I teach through the screen? Chakra healing, manifestation. You would say, yeah. So as I was starting to help clients, they wanted the teaching of manifestation. And that's when it started. And I didn't want it to be from, of course, people would come from ego, right? I want to manifest a lot of money. I want to manifest this specific person, right? And I would say, okay, let's manifest what you desire, but I always bring them down to, okay, are you aligned with your spirit guides? Is that what spirit wants for you? It's not just what do you want? What does the universe wants? Because you may want something that is not good for you. So
Mhm.
why wanting something that is not good for you? So that's how it started. Like, by me manifesting so many things in my life, I knew that I was not just a manifestor, but activator, and helping people to align with manifesting the right thing for them.
How would you just define manifesting in your own words?
So manifestation for me is the process of aligning your heart, aligning your energy and your belief system, aligning all this to what spirit wants for you, because that's what's going to make you happy. So it's all about alignment. So if you say, Nancy, I want to have, sometimes I get clients, Nancy, I manifested a Mercedes, but it gave me headache. It was expensive. I had to work so many hours for it, But if you would have manifested, okay, please, spirit, give money. I need a car. I'm not gonna go with my ego, but I'm gonna go with what something I need, right? And then later on, you can have that Mercedes, but maybe at the timing, it wasn't the right decision, manifestation. So I like to teach people to manifest, but also align with the universe, with spirit, to whatever they desire.
And how do they know the difference between something coming from ego or aligning with what spirit might want for them?
Yeah, when it comes from ego, like the Mercedes example, right? It's stressful. They're not happy. When, let's say, they manifest a boyfriend, right, ex-partner, right? They're still not, the relationship is not happy. They're not happy, right? So the ego is always ask your intention. What is your intention behind what you desire? Is it to feed your ego? Is it to say you're someone? Is it to validate who you are? Like, is it for, image, or is it for your own growth? Do you want to manifest that for your own growth? So it's like, yeah, you can be in front of the camera to be famous, or you can be in front of the camera to reach people, to help them to grow, right? So the same thing can be the intention behind it. So just be mindful of your intention.
I hear many people say that the universe is always saying yes. So, whatever it is that we are putting out into the universe, that the universe is always saying yes. Do you believe that to be the case? Because I'm also hearing you say that there are certain things that spirit wants. How does that work in your mind?
If the universe always says yes, yeah, everything is in our, like, candies, nutritional food, fast food is all in front of us, right? So if I want a burger, I can get it. If I want candies, I can get it. but is it good for me? And how can you know what you want is good for you? Does it make sense, that analogy? So, so if you want to figure it out by yourself, if it's good for you or not, then go and eat those burgers every single day and see how you're gonna feel afterwards. You can already save that time and headache and all this and experience that all this and ask the universe and be aligned and activate your chakras and say, please, spirit, save me the time, the headache, the to manifest something that might not be good for me. And then spirit is going to lead you to nutritious food.
So it sounds like there's a couple options. I'm just making this up in my head. One is I'm asking spirit, hey, tell me what is best for me, and then put my energy toward manifesting that. Or more of a general manifestation, like I need a car, spirit provide for me, or I need a job, spirit provide for me. Would you say that's the case? Like what's going to be most helpful? Or is it better to set my sights on exactly what I want and then listen to spirit give me correction? How do you find that most of your clients are
Yeah.
most successful?
Yeah. Manifesting, when I teach my clients, I always tell them, be specific. Be specific, as specific as you want. So let's say you want a car, a Toyota, Honda, whatever, okay, whatever brand. Be specific. And then look into the actions. What are you doing to get to that? Right? So if there's blockages along the way, let's say, oh, that it's too hard to get, or maybe it's too expensive, or then you can make that decision around it, right? But wish for whatever you desire, dream big, right? If it's $1 million you want, then dream it and write it down. I always The power of writing, I learned it a long time ago, right? Is one of the most important technique that I teach, is to write down everything that you desire, that you want, and to write as if it's already happened. So I'm so happy and grateful that I have that wonderful Jaguar, or that I have a mansion on the beach. Write it down. Do your vision boards. This is another technique. But then I take them and I say, okay, let's align your chakras. Let's align your chakras. And then when I start helping them to align their chakras, then you're like, you know what, Nancy? I might not want my ex anymore. You know what? I think I'm just gonna go for. That doesn't mean that they don't want, but aligning their chakras is telling them what I already know, but making them realize it by themselves. Does it make sense? Like,
How do you help them align their chakras?
yeah. I mean, I wrote my second book because it's called Unlocking the Power of the Law of Attraction: A Beginner's Guide, and it's very simple. There's no deep things, it's like very simple, and showing that, let's say, pain, right? The heart chakra is the main one that I start with, because a lot of people come heartbroken and pain. It can be pain of losing money, it can be pain of losing their partner, right? Or their exes. So we start with the heart chakra. And there's always chanting. Every chakra has a chanting. So I don't know. Have you ever done a chakra healing, David?
I have not. No.
Oh, wow. Maybe we can do 2 minutes
Do it.
together
Let's
right
go for
now.
it. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so the heart chakra, it's a beautiful green energy, right? I see it. Chakra in Sanskrit means disc. So they say like it's a disc and it's green, right? And I see it like a ball of energy, so people can see it more. So it's in the middle of the chest here. So when you activate your chakra, I give them a list of releasing first, because we need to release, let go, heal from past trauma. I always do that in any of my session. And then we start chanting. The chanting for the heart chakra is Yam. And then we do the mudra. Mudra is like the plug to the outlet. So this is the mudra for the heart. There's so many other mudras, right? There's this one too, but I love this one. And then if there's any crystals, I tell them rose quartz or jade. Those are the main ones. And then you put them in, on your knees like that. And then you chant yam. And as you chant yam, you'll feel it that it opens up your heart here. So just imagine when you close your eyes for a second, imagine that beautiful green energy activating. And then just chant with me. Yum. Another one, another time. Take a deep breath in, breathe out, and just release whatever doesn't feel good in your body, whatever you need to release, any pain, any past trauma, anyone that you need to forgive, just release. And let's do it one more time. Yum. And slowly feel every single cell is filled with that beautiful green light. And that beautiful green light is full of compassion, kindness, love. And every day you start loving yourself even more and feel all those cells filled up with that beautiful green light and that green energy coming from above, from your spirit guides, filling you up with that beautiful green light full of compassion, love, kindness. And the way you feel spirit loves you, the way you feel your angel loves you, love yourself the same way. And let's do one more time. Yum. Breathe in, breathe out. And slowly, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.
How
Wonderful.
did it
So
feel?
that feels good. I mean, even just the vibration, flowing through my body feels really, powerful. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when
So
you,
powerful.
and when you put your hands here and you chant, you'll feel it vibrating here. So
Hmm.
each chakra has a different chanting. There's the third eye chanting, there's the crown, there's the solar plexus, root chakra, right,
Hmm.
and the sacral. So,
Hmm.
yeah, and all you, it's very simple, but it's something that will change the way you see things because once you activate them, you activate your third eye, you feel so much more empowered and
Hmm.
motivated to go after your dreams.
Hmm. So I know you offer a number of different experiences, reading sessions. Like one is chakra clearing and healing. But then also somebody can just come to you for a tarot reading, but then around manifesting. I mean, there's so many different ways that people can work with you. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. What is the most common way that people want to work with you?
Well, they always come for me for questions, right? Is my partner the one that is for me? Am I really gonna be successful in my business? Should I leave my job for
And
something
they're
else?
looking to you to utilize tarot in order to help with that.
Yes.
Yes.
And I read energy too, so I do always my calls through Zoom. But if they're too shy, I can do phone call too. But I read energy too, so I can, so with the energy that I read from the person with my tarot cards, I guide them. And then I see if they have pain, if they have things that they need to heal. I see it in the cards, I see it in their eyes. And then I tell them, why don't we do a healing chakra first? Before you start talking to your partner, before you make a decision of leaving them, before you make a decision of leaving your job or wanting something else, let's do the heart chakra. Let's heal. And so I go from there. Sometimes I do the manifesting right away. Okay, let's not waste time. Let's do manifesting right now. And even if we do a manifesting session, we do some healing too. So any of my sessions, there's some healing. Because I always see it like that. If you have full of clothes in your closet, and you need to go shop and you don't even remember how many pair of jeans you have, how many shirts, like you need to clean your closet first, right? To see what you're going to use, what you're not going to use anymore, to make space for the new. So if you don't make space for the new, how are you going to manifest new things in your life? It's impossible. Everything is cluttered. And the heart for me, that's why I always start with the heart. The heart chakra is like a compass. Everyone is holding their compass that guides them where, the next step, right? To their dreams, to their healing, to their partner, to love, to money. So when the compass is full of dirt, can you really see which direction to take? So that dirt is the healing. Whether we do it through releasing list, whether we do it through chakra healing, and once it's clean, then you have your compass. You know what to do. Everyone has that power within themselves to know what's their next step. We just need guidance to help us to get there.
You are amazing on social media, on video. Like I am watching you, and just like your friend said, I literally, it's so funny when you just said it's your voice, because I'm watching your videos and I'm like, oh, this lady is magnetic. I mean, she has got something in her voice that is powerful. And you tend to start off the same way with each video, right? It's you're doing a tarot reading. Would you call it a collective tarot reading, or how would you describe it?
Yes,
Okay.
collective.
Say the two or three sentences that you say every time at the beginning. You know what I'm talking about?
Tell me, what is it?
I don't believe in coincidences. And right? Come on, give me the spiel.
I
Give it to
don't
me.
believe in coincidence. I believe in divine alignment. If you're here, it's because you're meant to hear that message today.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, it's so powerful when you say it. And, I'm also like, I see the world oftentimes through the lens of a marketing because that's my background, right? And so the way you say it pulls me in as a listener because I'm like, geez, she really believes this for me. I better listen, you know? And you do believe it for them. And you are trusting that the right person's going to hear that message. And that's the crazy part about the algorithm, right? Instagram, TikTok, whatever. The right person sees it. Yeah. So tell me about how you go about doing your readings and why do you think that they're so successful?
Yeah, and I've told God, if you see other tarot readers, they talk about everything. They talk about life, money. All what I talk about is love. Love, love, love. And I'm like, God, people are gonna be tired of me talking about love. But God knows what people need, you know. If you are in pain, David, you cannot be a successful millionaire and having a business and helping others. It all starts with the heart. So my tarot reading are about love, and I attract a lot of people that are heartbroken. And from the heart, from people are so isolated nowadays. Like there's so many things out there, but there's so much more loneliness and isolation. And people don't know where to go to. Some people don't want to go to church. They're not gonna find their truth there. Some people don't want to go see psychologist or a therapist or I'm a quick, like it's very easy. I'm very accessible right away, right now. And most of them don't know that I have books. Most of them don't know my education. Most of them don't know my story, which is gonna be now broadcast by you. I do have a podcast too that I started to create, right? But yeah, and my voice, my energy, people say, I always ask them, what made you choose me over someone else? Because all of my clients, David, is through that, through YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. I've never advertised my website directly, never. So I don't know about marketing. I'm glad you know about marketing, but all what I know is sharing my gift and reaching people that needs to. And a lot of people have healed just by hearing my tarot reading because I convey messages. I tell them don't chase, sit in your imprints energy, be in your feminine energy, be empowered, and I elevate them during that 1 minute video, and I
Mhm.
tell them, let's write it below here. I'm so happy and grateful that I am abundant. I'm so happy and grateful that love is coming in my way, that is already in my way. So I try to involve them in those 1 minute or 2 minutes.
Hmm.
And I'm sure they see the difference, even if they never get to see me or meet me. They heal like I healed from those YouTubers years ago.
Speaking to those who are listening or watching who are conscious leaders, healers, coaches, readers, people that are like yourself, but maybe they aren't as far along in the process, how do you motivate yourself to create that video, that content, that podcast on a daily, weekly basis? How do you stay motivated to do that? I mean, you've got a lot of content out there. How do you do that?
um Discipline, discipline when you have a calling is the it's like food. You're asking me how can I have time to eat? You're asking me how can I have time to dress up and go out and get my grocery? It's part of who you are. When it becomes part of you who you are, then you do it. You don't even think twice about it. Because that's my only income, right? And everything is through social platform, YouTube, TikTok. And which platform did you see? Did you see the Instagram one or?
I've seen them all. Yeah.
Oh, you've seen them all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I wake up, get my coffee, do my chakras because I need to do my own meditation first. Have a walk, do some exercise, and then I do my videos. This is my routine. But remember when I was writing my book, I only had an hour during the kids sleeping. And then I had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So when there's a will, there's a way. There's no excuses. If I can write a book like that when I had a daycare, 2 kids under the age of 7 and 4, my husband, 12 kids to take care of, and write a book, then anything is possible, right? Right
Mhm.
now, it's just a routine. It becomes a routine. I do my videos and then I have my website, so people just book. This is my secretary, so I don't have to. Some people they all DM me or email me. I don't have time for this. Like the website, if you want to reach out, they can DM me and ask me, but I'll tell them here's my website. You can book from that, and it's safe, and people feel safe with me. They feel stable. So I think it's just discipline, right? Not thinking about it, just do it.
Yeah, yeah. I hear the discipline. I also hear that it's connected to your mission, and I also hear it's connected to your livelihood. It's kind of all three of those things: mission first, people helping, feeling called, a sense of discipline. Yeah. Tell me about your podcast. I know it's relatively new. Dream and Manifest with Nancy. Tell us about it and where people can find it.
Yeah, because I found that when I do tarot reading, right, I don't have the space to tell people my story, right?
Hmm.
So I figured it's through my podcast that I'll do it. And so I start my first podcast, Awakening. What are the signs of awakening, right? And so this was another kind of people want to know more about me, but I don't talk about me in my videos in all three platforms. So God was telling me, Nancy, there needs to be another platform. So I started my podcast, and it's a sacred place where people don't feel alone. I everyone goes through so many challenges, so many things. I've lost it all when God starts speaking to me, and I know the bottom. I know what it feels to lose it all. Like everyone, even my parents did not believe me. So, like, talking about religious people, that don't believe their own daughter. So I lost a lot of things. But the podcast is like a place where you can go to, and a sacred place where you can relay the story. So I talk about my stories, and eventually I do want to invite guests. I would love to have you on my podcast, David. That would be amazing because
Sure. Yeah.
you're interviewing everyone, but I don't know if anyone interviewed you. But yeah, I'm gonna start. I already have a list of names that I want to ask. people and tell them, what is your awakening? What did you go through? Because when stories are the best way to relate to others. Oh, I had that too. Oh, I didn't have anyone supporting me. Well, you don't need anyone. You only need spirits, your angels, your spirit guides. If I could do it for 10 years in isolation, I never went to any seminars, I never, just me and God, then you can do it too. So that podcast is like showing the path that I took, and that helped me to realize all of my dreams, and helping people to do the same. So I teach about how to dream big, how to manifest love, money, but when it has to be aligned with your spirit guides, angel spirit, so you can be happy, so you don't feel stressed out once you have that big home with big bills and you can't even afford it, and you don't have a life and you're stressed out. No, maybe your dream is to have, maybe it's a cottage but you just don't remember it because you want to impress your neighbors.
Mm.
Does that make sense what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like,
Mhm.
so how to dream and manifest aligned with spirit, God, and you have me in the process too.
What's the best place for people to book a session with you and follow your work online?
Yeah, I do have my website. It's alignedmanifestations.com. So it's an all platform. All what they have to do is go to my bio and click on the link, and that's how they can email me too. Everything is out in the open.
Awesome. We will link to all of those places in the show notes. I do want to give you an opportunity, though, if someone is watching or listening today and they're struggling in life, whether it's love, money, relationships, family, whatever it is, what advice or encouragement would you want to leave them with?
Yeah, the first one is that they're not alone. If you feel alone, they're not alone. They have their spirit guides, they have God, they have their ancestors, they have the people that crossed over and is watching over them. So they're always guided. But you just need to heal to start feeling them around you and feeling them guiding you. The second thing, if everything feels like you lost it all and you're struggling and there's no way out, there's always a way out. It's not an ending, it's a new beginning. So there's always hope to get to a better place in your life. Um, to also learn to be detached. Sometimes attachment to belongings, to people, will stop us from really walking the path that we're supposed to walk. So to be detached, but yeah, that there's always hope at the end, and there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. So that's what I would say to them.
Wonderful. Nancy, thank you for sharing your story. So powerful. My goodness. And thank you for all the ways that you're making an impact in people's lives. And it's going to be fun to see how your social media impact just continues to grow and grow and grow. So thanks for being with us.
Thank you, David, for having me. It was great meeting you. And I know we both live in San Diego, so maybe we'll meet one day.
Sounds good.
And thank you for having me.